want to just get yourself comfortable in an easy cross-legged pose, making sure if you have cushions or blocks and you want to put them underneath the knees, give yourself plenty of support. Obviously, if you don't need them and you're more comfortable without them, that's totally fine. But it's all about making yourself comfortable, relaxed, warm. So if you have a blanket and you want to put it over your lap, do that as well. And I'm sitting on a little cushion behind as well to help me sit upright. Rest the palms on your lap, just hanging the upper arms by the sides of the body. I have the left hand sitting on top of the right with the thumbs touching, so that keeps that physical connection. Closing over the eyes, being aware of the crown of the head reaching upwards towards the ceiling, and start to bring the awareness on the breath. So as you breathe in through the nose, try to soften the belly. And then breathing out through the nose. Letting the belly just draw back in gently. And then at the last moment, you can engage the tummy muscles to draw them all the way in. And then pausing before you breathe in again. Soften the belly. Letting the belly expand. Breathing out. Letting the belly just draw gently back in and then engaging the tummy muscles. So getting that nice little flow. And in order to continue on, just letting go of the busyness of the time before or after this little half-hour slot, we'll do a little bit of alternate nostril breathing. So if you want to take your first two fingers and place them between your eyebrows, closing over the right nostril. You can hold the elbow if you like, just to give you a bit of support. Breathing in through the nose, in through the left. Close that left nostril, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right. Closing and breathe out through the left. In through the left. Closing and breathe out through the right. In through the right. Closing and breathe out through the left. Just continue with that flow for a couple of breaths. Deepening the breath in and hearing the sound of the breath, and then breathing all the way out. And taking the hands away and just resting them back down on the lap again, closing over the eyes or just having a gentle gaze in front of your nose. And bring awareness to your alignment and your posture. So the crown of the head is extending upwards. Be aware of where your head might be positioned. Do you feel that it's tipping forward a little or even tipping back? And you can tell this by if your chin is lifting up too much, the back of your neck might feel a little bit compressed or scrunched. So maybe tilting the chin, just so that you can imagine it's parallel with the floor. Nice openness to the back of the neck, openness to the front of the throat. Imagine there's little strings connecting the earlobes down to the shoulders, the outsides of the shoulders. Now the shoulders are stacked over the hips. And when you're swallowing or you're breathing, can you do it freely, or do you feel that there's an effort involved in it? Is there any movement or any change of position that you need to do in order to make it more flowing or just easier to do in general? And travel down the spine, noticing the gentle curve at the back of the neck, traveling down the back. Be aware of the shoulders, position of the shoulders. Slide the shoulder blades down the back. And the gentle little curve at the base of the spine. And then your sitting bones, the connection with the floor. Are you gripping or holding on with the tops of the legs? Can you soften those? Soften the effort. And if the mind is wandering a lot, just focus on the count of the breath in and the count of the breath out. So she could be in for 4, out for 5 or 6. Or you could connect with the word, breathing in the word peace, breathing out the word release. And then checking in with the knees, the ankles, and the feet. Bringing the hands together in prayer position, pressing the thumbs to the heart center, bowing the head for a moment, just setting yourself a little intention that this practice to be a little time for yourself, a break in the day. Maybe there's a particular part of the body that you want to focus on, or you just want to slow down the breath and just rest the mind for this period of time. So making sure that each time you notice that your mind is wandering or you're drifting away, thinking about all the things to be done, just gently bringing it back, that this is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm on the mat. Count with the breath. Breathe into the body and bring the awareness back on how you're physically feeling and emotionally and energetically. And breathing in, sweeping the arms up overhead, looking up at the hands. Breathing out, bring them back down by the sides again. Breathing in, sweeping the arms up, looking up at the hands. Breathing out, bringing them back down by the sides again, and maybe lifting them out behind the back of the body a little. So reaching the upper chest forward, jutting the chin forward, and then lifting the hands back up towards the ceiling. Tip the chin to your chest and round the back. So again, bringing the arms back down, tilting the chin forward, the chest forward, the arms are back, and then breathing in, lifting up the arms, tipping the chin to your chest, rounding the back, and the arms are lifting up. Bringing the hands back down by the sides again. Extend the left hand out to the side, so in line with your hip. Dropping the elbow down towards the floor. The other hand's on the other hip. Turn to look over the shoulder. And make sure that that opposite hip is nice and heavy. Breathing and lifting the hand up towards the ceiling. Stretching out the fingers, and then bring the arm overhead. Try to keep the elbow or the arm extending out. So you're not going to have a perfectly straight arm, but you are extending out, keeping the shoulders down, reaching out through the fingertips, and the hip is heavy. So getting a lovely extension and stretch to the whole side of the body in between each of those ribs, the intervertebral muscles there. Breathing in and breathing out, softening the breath. And then bringing the hand back down on the floor to the other side, and we do the other side. So getting the position right. Hand is in line with the hip, extending out to the side. The elbow drops down towards the floor. Other hand on the hip, looking over the shoulder. When you're ready and you feel that your legs are relaxed, bringing the hand up towards the ceiling. Check that that shoulder is staying down, and then bringing the arm overhead. So a lovely stretch from hip to fingertip, connecting with the breath. Breathing in, soften the belly. Breathing out, drawing the belly in. So getting that lovely flow in the posture. And with each breath out, just softening into the pose. Finding this steady, comfortable seat. And then bringing the hand back down by the side again. If you have a blanket on your lap, you can move it out of the way. And any blocks underneath the knees, you can move them out of the way. Lifting up the knees, extend the legs out in front. Just give the legs a little shake. Little rock from side to side. Wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers. Hold the fists tight and scrunch up the feet as long as your feet don't get cramps. And just do nice little circles in one direction. And then the opposite direction. And then stretch out the toes, stretch out the fingers. You might even hear a few little clicks and cracks, and then scrunch them all up again and open them up. That's it. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Lovely. We're going to get into the toes a little bit. So bending up the right knee, bringing the right arm underneath that shin or the calf, wherever you're most comfortable. If you can't lift it up, you can obviously just hold the front of your foot if you like, but giving it a little bit of support means that we can work into the hip at the same time as the foot. And then the opposite hand's going to interlace the fingers with the toes. So getting in between the toes and just giving those toes a little twist and a press back and a pull forward. So really working into those joints, spreading out the toes, and getting into the base of the joints. You might hear a few little cracks and clicks here as well. So then bring the hand to the bottom of the foot and rotate the ankle in one direction, then the opposite direction. Press the foot away. So you're pressing your foot into your hand and then pull the foot so you're pointing it. Then hold the base of the foot again and do nice little circles with the hip in one direction and then the opposite direction. Lovely. Release the foot down onto the floor and we'll do the other side, bending up the left. And again, bring the knee into the chest first if it helps to just open up the hip, bringing the lower part of the leg onto the lower part of the arm and giving that leg a little support. And you can just sort of press the knee out to the side to start. And then when you're ready, interlace your fingers with your toes and then press the toes back and forth, twist back and forth, a little bit of a tug of the toes as well to pull those, just lengthen the joints of the toes, really getting into the base of them. And then release those, hold the bottom of the foot. You can rotate the ankle in one direction, ankle in the opposite direction, push the foot into the hand and then point the foot. You're helping it with your hand. And then we'll work into that hip joint. So nice big circles in one direction and then in the opposite direction. And then place the foot down. Extend the legs along the floor, give the legs a little shake again. Do a nice little Dandasana for a moment, staff pose. Hands are at either sides of the hips, hands just gently placed on the floor, elbows pointing back. Nice openness to the front of the chest. You can bring a little gap between the legs if you like, if that gives you a little bit more balance. Just make sure the toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. Upper body's extending upwards, closing over the eyes, opening up the chest. Breathing in, sweeping the arms up overhead, lifting up out of the pelvic bowl. Breathing out, hinging forwards and only going as far as is comfortable. So the hands might come to the outside of the shins. Just make sure you're not rolling the shoulders forward or bringing the shoulders up around the ears. So relaxing those shoulders. So what you're trying to do is bring the heart forward towards the front of your feet and hinging forward at the hips. We're not looking to round the back like that. So gaze is just gently down towards the fronts of the legs. If you reach the feet, you can bring your first two fingers around the big toes. And again, keeping those shoulders nice and relaxed. If you're very flexible, you can reach around the base of the feet. You could bring the legs closer together and reach around the bottom of the feet. But that's entirely up to your physiology. Making sure that from a physical perspective, you're comfortable because you're folding over your organs. There's a lot going on internally, but also physically then, structurally, you may not have the flexibility in the hip flexors. Don't force anything. Breathing into it, finding your steady, comfortable seat. Deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. And then to come out of it, looking forward at the feet, reaching the hands forward, reaching those hands up towards the ceiling, breathing out, bringing the arms back down by the sides. Now we're going to do a reverse tabletop. Counteract that, so I'll just turn this way. Hands flat on the floor behind the hips, a little bit back away from the hips. Feet hip width distance apart. And you're just going to press the floor away, but to lift up the hips, but only going as far as is comfortable. If you feel that you can't do it or there's pains in the wrists, you can close your eyes and imagine as well. Otherwise, breathing in and then breathing out, you press the floor away with the feet and the hips, or sorry, the hands, and you lift up the hips. Letting the head rest back. Continue to breathe and then coming back down again. Cross over the shins. Sides of the feet are on the mat. Fingertips out to the outside edges of the hips and lift up the hips and back down again. We'll just do tabletop again. So hands behind the hips, feet flat on the floor. Press the floor away with the breath out, lifting up those hips. The gaze is up at the ceiling. Breathing. And then coming back down again. Cross the legs the opposite direction. Don't worry if you don't remember which side. Fingertips out to the outside edges of the hips, lifting up the hips and back down. Bringing the ankles and the knees together. We'll just do a little rock back and forth on the spine. So you're going to roll your spine and rocking back, just doing a little massage of the back. And then using the legs to help you rock back up again. So doing this a couple of times, rocking back and rocking forward, using your tummy muscles. And you can use your legs to give you a little momentum. And the next time you come up, just staying up, sitting up on the sitting bones, bringing the hands behind the knees, and just lifting one leg, and then lifting the other. So pointing the toes, making sure that when you lift up your leg, check that your knee isn't falling out to the side. You want to keep the knee in line with the hip, and ankle in line with the knee. So your knees are in line with one another, and you can just alternate one and the other. If you can, lift both feet. You can keep the knees bent, extending the arms out to the sides, opening up the chest and looking forward. And then crossing the legs and reaching the hands forward into a nice forward fold. Hands will be wide of the mat, so opening up, broadening the shoulders, and just resting there for a moment. Coming back up, we're going to come back into boat again. So once again, lifting up the lower legs. If you can straighten them, you can absolutely do that and reach out the hands out to the sides. You can really feel it into the quads here. And then crossing over the shins the opposite side, and once again folding forward. Reaching the hands wide of your mat to broaden the shoulders, releasing into that forward fold. Walking the hands back. I'm going to turn to face the camera again so that you can see we're going to do a little seated forward fold twist. So breathing in, sweeping the arms up overhead, breathing out, folding forwards. Hands come onto the floor. Keep the left hand forward and to the front, the right hand lifting it up and then threading it under. Now it'll only go a little way, but your gaze is just down at the floor and it's a little twist. Little cross-legged seated twist. Connect with the breath. And then bringing that hand back up towards the ceiling and down in front of you. And you do the other side. So left hand up towards the ceiling and then breathing out, threading it under the right. Looking under the right arm if you can, where your gaze is just down at the floor. And then bring that hand through, lifting it back up towards the ceiling and back down in front. Now, bring the right hand over onto the left knee and the left hand over onto the right knee. So you're crossing your arms in front of you, but you're still folding forwards. So your legs are crossed, your arms are crossed, and you're folding forwards, gazing down at the floor. Softening the breath. And then lifting the head and chest, I want you to open up, uncross the arms, uncross the legs, wide-legged seated bend, reaching forwards, holding the toes, gazing down at the floor. Again, keep those shoulders nice and relaxed. Connecting with the breath. And then looking up, lifting up the hands. We're going to cross the legs again. See if you can remember which side was crossed, and if you can remember, do it the other way. So the leg crossing is the opposite way, and then the hand crossing is the opposite way. So if it was left hand under, now it's right hand over. And fold forward again. And then lifting up the head and chest, uncrossing the arms, uncrossing the legs. Once again, nice wide-legged seated forward fold. If you can reach the insides of the feet, fabulous. Don't worry though if the hands are just reaching out to the shins. You're folding forwards, gazing down at the floor. The hands are either on the feet, holding the big toes, the outside of the feet. Wherever you reach is totally fine. Softening the breath. And again, watch that you're not rounding your shoulders or rounding your back. You're bringing your chest forward. So you're getting that hinging effect, not a rounding effect. So hinging effect. And then lifting the head, chest, sitting upright, sitting here for a moment. You can bring the hands to rest on the upper thighs. Make sure that your feet are engaged, so your toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And we're going to bring up the arms, bending the elbows, and just bringing the elbows in, crossing them over, so doing eagle arms. So I have the right elbow to the inside of the left, and then wrapping the wrists around, lifting up the elbows in front of the face and press the elbows away. Breathing here for a moment, keeping the legs engaged, and then release the arms, opening them up, and then crossing over the other way. So this time I have the left on top of the right, the palms coming around to meet, and lifting the elbows up in front of the face and pressing the elbows away. So really works into those shoulders if you've been working on the computer a lot. And don't forget to breathe. And release, and just shake out the arms, shake out the wrists, shake out the hands. Opening up the arms out to the sides, hug yourself in one direction. So notice which hand is up on the top shoulder this time, and you can just give a gentle little rock from side to side, making sure to soften the spine. If you feel any clicks and cracks that feel uncomfortable, don't do it. But otherwise, you're trying to soften the tissues, soften the muscles, and just have that nice little easy hug, twist, relaxer. And then opening up the hands again and doing the hug in the opposite direction. So the other hand is on top. And again, just that nice little gentle rock from side to side. It's like gently rolling your spine. It's like if you were rolling out some dough on the table. You're just gently kind of rocking it like this, and you're doing the same thing with your spine. Imagine your torso is a roll of dough. And then opening up the hands and bringing the hands back down by the sides. If you need to help your legs to come back to the center, you can do that, or you can just lift them up and move them yourself. We'll do one more little exercise actually just before we come down into relaxation. A little gap between the legs, hands on either side of one leg. You're going to lift the leg off the floor. Now this takes a lot of strength in your hip flexor, pressing through the heel. If you start to feel a cramp in your quad, feel free to bend your leg, just release it. These are exercises that are very good for the hip flexors if you're sitting all of the time. So hands on either side of that leg, pressing into the heels of both feet, lift the leg which you have the hands on either side. See if you can do a little circle in one direction and a circle in the opposite direction. And then place it down. Again, like I said, give the leg a little rock and a little shake anytime you need to. And we come to the other leg. So engage those feet, lift the leg up off the floor, little circle in one direction, and then the opposite. And you're trying to do 3 circles. And if at any stage you feel a cramp in the quad, just bend up the leg. Release it, extend it again. Just do that one more time because we did it twice on the other side. Lifting up, little circle in one direction, little circle in the opposite direction. We do it for less this time. There we go. Give the legs a little shake, little rock from side to side. Now, bending up the knees, I just want to stretch the front of the feet and then I'll bring you down into Shavasana, I promise. So to stretch the front of the feet, place the feet flat on the floor, sitting up on the heels. And you can reach the hands forward to stretch the upper back to start. Keep the heels down, the hips down on the heels, reaching the arms forward. And then slide the hands along the sides, all the way behind the feet, and lift up the knees. And if you can, you're just going to do a little pulsing of the knees while the knees are lifted. If you can't do that, if that just feels like it's too much, just keep the knees down on the floor and you can just have your gaze up towards the ceiling. If you're lifting up the knees and just doing a little gentle pulse, your gaze is probably just going to be ahead. And then place the knees down on the floor and see if you can press the floor away and lift up the hips, even if it's just a small amount, opening up the front of the body. Let the head relax. And then back down again, sliding the hands forward, reaching them wide of the mat. Keep the hips down towards the heels, gaze is down at the floor, elbows are above the floor, reaching the arms forward. And then slide the hands back towards the knees again, sitting down on one side on one hip. Extend the legs out in front, lowering yourself down onto the floor. Bring the knees into the chest and just rock from side to side. Then putting the fingers pointing down towards the feet on top of the knees, do a little circle in one direction and then a circle in the opposite direction. Left foot down on the floor, straightening the right leg, pressing the heel up towards the ceiling. Hands are on either side of the shin. But notice here, if you're lifting your chin to straighten your leg, then there may be a lot of tightness along the back of the body, back of the legs and the spine. So instead, dip the leg away a little bit so that you can tip your chin to your chest. Okay, and only bring the leg as far as you feel comfortable without adjusting the position of your head. And breathe into this. Enjoy the stretch in the hamstring and the back of the knees. Don't introduce any pain. If you want to extend the opposite leg along the floor, you can do that. And then bring that right knee into the chest and place the foot back on the floor. Bring the left knee into the chest. Hook it in. Extend the left leg up towards the ceiling, holding either side of the shin or the back of the thigh. Sole of the foot extending up towards the ceiling. And again, check the position of your chin. If you feel that you're lifting the back of the neck right up, then lengthen the leg away a little. Bring the chin towards the chest. Only straighten the leg to the point where you're comfortable, that you know that you're not overextending. So whatever point that may be, breathing into it, and if you want to extend the opposite leg, you can do that. Getting a nice right angle. Connect with the breath. And then bend that left knee into the chest, hugging it in. And extend the leg along the floor. Bringing the arms up overhead, holding the opposite elbows. Point the toes away. Take a nice big deep breath into the whole front of the body. And then breathing out, bringing the arms by the sides again. Let the feet fall out to the side, letting go of all effort. If you want to grab a blanket or put socks on or anything like that in order to come into Shavasana, you can. And while you do that, I will read you a little poem. So making yourself as comfortable as you can where you are. Nice and warm, letting go of all effort. And I'll let you know, we will just do a little poem. I'll give it a moment and then we'll come up to sit. This poem is called She Let Go. She let go, without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of the fear, she let go of the judgments, she let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her, she let go of all the right reasons. Wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all of the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was. It was just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun shone forevermore. Taking a nice big deep breath in through the nose and just gently letting it out between your parted lips. Letting go of the effort of the breath. Letting go of any tightness, discomfort in the body. Rubbing the fingertips together and moving the toes. Moving your wrists and your ankles. Maybe bending up the knees, just gently swaying the knees from side to side. When you're ready, just rolling over onto one side, whichever side is more comfortable, and just curling up, curling into yourself. Letting go of all effort in the spine, making yourself completely comfortable. And when you're ready, using the upper hand, press the floor away, coming up into an upright seated position, with your legs crossed, keeping your eyes closed. Keep the blanket around you, stay in your space. This is the space you've created for yourself on your mat. It's your special and sacred space. So bringing the hands together, rubbing the fingertips, noticing the skin, notice the temperature of the skin. Notice the bones, the shape of the fingers, the palms. And gently taking the hands, placing the hands at the top of the head. A little light pressure on the scalp, noticing how the head is feeling. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Hands around to the front of the face, cupping the hands over the eyes. Aware of the darkness around the eyes and how that can help to soften the muscles of the eyes. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Bring the hands along the jawline. Notice if the jaw is nice and relaxed now, or if there's any clenching at the back of the jaw, the teeth at the back. Just being aware of that periodically throughout the day. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Hands down on either side of the neck and throat. Notice the swallow and the pulse. The softness of the skin. Notice how much nourishment or what nourishment you need. If you need to drink plenty of water throughout the day, you do that. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Now place the left hand on the tummy, the right hand on the heart. Being aware of the gut and the heart. The gut can give us our instincts, gives the intuition. We need to listen to that. We also need to quieten everything to be able to hear what the heart has to say. And we do all of our practice, all of our breath work to connect these two areas with the mind and slow it all down, help unify it with the breath. So take a nice big deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Bringing the hands together in prayer position. Pressing the thumbs to the heart center, bowing the head, coming back to any intentions that you set yourself at the beginning of class, and also thanking yourself for making the time and the space to practice here today. Making sure to take even 1 minute whenever you need it throughout the day, to do a little breath work, to check in on your head, check in the jaw, the eyes, water, rest, whatever you need to do. And I thank you for coming to practice with me. Namaste.